All right, so I just had the cheapest breakfast you can have, rice and canned tuna. And then I hopped onto the computer, and you wouldn't believe how accurate the algorithm is. It knows what I talk about in my videos, it knows what I write about for YouTube, or what ChatGPT writes about for me in YouTube, and it recommended a video that's not exactly in line with my typical video, but it knew that I would be interested. As soon as I put that transcript into ChatGPT, it did everything that I would normally do by prompting it. So the second it got the transcript, it wrote the monologue, it wrote the three talking points, and it wrote the outro. It also gave me the prompt to be able to generate the images and the thumbnail that you guys are going to see for this video. And everything it did, I didn't have to ask it to do a single thing. It just did it, which was insane because I've never woken up and had to do so little work. Which reminds me of how well AI is going to be able to do our jobs in the future. You don't have to tell it anything. It just knows how to do your job. And with that said, this video is a little different, but it keeps within the themes of this channel. I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into our opening monologue. All right, let's talk about something that doesn't make sense at first, but when you sit with it long enough, it hits. You know what's happening in 2025? The world is done with America. Not just politically, not just economically, but emotionally. I mean, you used to book a flight to New York and the plane would be packed, shoulder to shoulder, crying babies, elbows in your ribs, some guy watching Fast and Furious 9 with no headphones. Now, empty. Literally ghost flights. People are posting photos of entire rows empty. Whole planes empty. You know what that is? That's not a glitch. That's a vibe shift. You know what I'm going to equate this to is the way that Americans are not applying for those low level positions. Gen Z is tired of being exploited by the man. They don't want to go to school for 4 years and come out and still have to work at Walmart like I did. They don't want to work fast food after they've gone to school. No one wants to work those jobs. Nobody wants to work anymore for a non living wage. But it gets worse. America is now the rear end of the world. We should be politically ashamed of what we've allowed the politicians to do, from tariffs to DEI to even our healthcare. Letting these people tell us that everything is fine while at the same time we're in Pound Town all of the time has become ridiculous. Something has to be done. If the world is turning its back on America and Americans, remember this, Americans are turning their backs on America because the fundamental aspects of being an American are going to a job that provides you a living. We don't have that anymore in this country. I've never had a real job in my entire life. A job with stability, a job with a living wage, a job that provides some sort of comfort. All there is in the workplace now is fear and sacrificing yourself for a job that doesn't care about you. They demand 100% loyalty, tell you to work like if you're the owner of the business, but at the end of the day, you look at your paycheck and you wonder, what is this? I ask myself that question every 2 weeks. What is this? Is this a bucket of fish heads? Is that what we get at the end of every 2 weeks? Because it's not a living wage. I don't have a new car. I don't have a home. I don't have a savings account. And I'm never, ever going to go on vacation. There has never been a vacation in my entire adult life. The last time I got to leave to go somewhere, it was because my parents had money, not because I had money. because my parents could afford to take a month off from work and go on a real vacation. I've never had that. All I've had my entire life is work 7 days a week, every single week for my entire adult life. That's not a life, that's slavery. And we've been told that this is normal, that you need to work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But I'm going to say, no, that's not normal. They're trying to institutionalize us, to domesticate us into believing that all we're here to do is to work. And I can't stand that. The idea of spending the rest of my life until they put me into the pine box working for a company that hates you, a company that sees you as a waste of money, a company that doesn't want to give you time off, doesn't want to pay you a living wage, and doesn't treat you with any amount of respect. Because they don't. No evil corp in America treats its workers with any amount of respect. If you're not part of the executives, you're trash to them. And you always will be. All right, so let's get into talking point number one, which is really cute because ChatGPT labeled these as segment one, segment two, and segment three, which I've never seen it do that, but let's get into it anyway. Let me hit you with the receipts real quick. Travel from Canada and Mexico, double-digit drop. Europe, Asia, South America, same story. Even student exchanges are slowing down. Business travel, dead on arrival. You know what that means, right? The people who have the money, the people who used to want to come here, they're not looking at the US now and going, nah, I'm good. Why would you come to a place that's this dysfunctional? Why would you come here from another country and risk being detained for hours or weeks or however long just because they don't want you here? It's not a good look, America, to do this to people who are just coming here, who have the money to travel anywhere in the world. They can go anywhere they wanted, but they're choosing not to come here because what they see on TV they don't like. What they hear from people they don't like. People don't like America. And this isn't going to change anytime soon. In fact, I imagine that in the next 3 years, the reputation of this country is going to be so terrible that we're probably going to be the laughing stock of the world for the next 10 years because of things that we can't change. Who votes for these people? Who thinks that it's okay to get rid of the social programs that the vast majority of people need? Walmart is the largest employer probably in the world. And what's the standard Walmart wage? Minimum wage. What do you get from working at Walmart? Food stamps, a miserable existence. And I was actually talking to one of the managers at Kroger's yesterday, and he was telling me that he was working 9 to 5. And I'm like, do you know how rare that is in retail? Retail is about getting up early or staying up till 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning. That was my life. I worked the 4 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning shift at Walmart for years. And every once in a while, I'd look at the schedule and it'd say closing and opening in retail. It's disgusting. Anyhow, let's move on to talking point number two. This isn't just about airfare or inflation. This is about trust and how America treats people who aren't from here. Imagine saving for your dream trip to Chicago. You pack, board the plane, land, and then spend 5 hours in detention while some border agent goes through your phone. Not because you did something, just because you came here. Germany is literally warning its citizens a visa doesn't guarantee entry anymore. Australia's travel agencies are saying book Japan instead. Even engineers and students are being detained. What are we doing? Arresting tourists now? People aren't stupid. That story gets shared once, and now nobody wants to be next. People aren't stupid. Well, what can I say? I mean, I've submitted thousands of job applications over the last few years. Thousands of them. And I have yet to get a call back. People aren't stupid. This country isn't hiring right now like CNN would have you think. No one's hiring anyone right now, especially if you don't have the right education. If you don't have a master's degree and a couple of bachelor's degree and 10 years of experience, good luck finding a halfway decent job. These corporations only want a certain kind of person working for them, just like America only wants a certain kind of person entering this country. They have made it clear that they would like to see tourism come into America from the, the Scandinavian countries. Can you imagine someone leaving a country in which the country actually cares about your well being, where we don't have a million homeless people roaming the streets of America, and 55% of those homeless people have jobs? Do you know how difficult it is in this country to even make it, let alone the people that are being randomly picked up? I think there was riots in LA and New York yesterday where people were attacking the way that deportations are happening. Because even if you're a citizen, if you fit the profile, they're going to pick you up. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you just fit the profile. And when it comes to fitting the profile, poor people are are being attacked for doing what they can in order to earn a living. And when you can't get a halfway decent job, just because there aren't jobs and too many of these evil corporations won't raise wages, knowing full well that inflation has destroyed our paychecks over the last few years, what are we supposed to do? Are you supposed to bend over and take it? I mean, all of you guys in the comments this week said yes. Welcome to Pound Town. Population U. You're just supposed to take it. With everything in our lives being miserable and the quality of life being completely disgusting, people aren't stupid. They know what's happening to them. We know when we go to the grocery store and we can't afford to buy anything that things are getting really bad for us, that politically things are going in the wrong direction. Most of us aren't political. I don't consider myself to be a political person. I would never vote Democratic and I would never vote Republican. To me, politics is stupid. And people aren't stupid. They know these things are happening. That's why no one showed up to vote for the left in the last election. We're tired of stupid politics. No one cares. What we care about at the end of the day is having financial safety. Because without financial safety, our mental health goes to crap. I can't even sleep anymore. And a lot of that has to do with me constantly being worried about whether or not I'm going to be able to pay my rent, whether or not I'm going to have to move into my car, whether or not I'm going to be able to keep my car. That's what I worry about at night because I'm seeing this in real time. When I saw that girl who had to leave her apartment because of the roach infestation in her home and the fact that the apartment she was renting was eating up 90% of her income. What's the point of going to work when you don't have money for anything else? Why would you do that to yourself? And a lot of Americans have to do that. The people that live beneath me got evicted, I believe, last weekend. Yeah, it must have been on the first because I saw them starting to move things out. And they must have moved everything out of their house in less than a few hours because they were just gone. And that's how quickly an eviction comes. Every time I go out to the dumpster and I see baby clothing and toys and everything in a household dumped in the dumpster, you know what happened to that person? They had to get rid of all of their personal belongings, what they couldn't fit into a small storage shed, even if they had the money for that. It all goes into the dumpster. And since I've been renting an apartment, I've probably seen someone dump everything that they owned into the dumpster at least 25 times. And it doesn't make any sense because these people work. But it's just not enough. Even if you had three family members working 3 minimum wage jobs right now, you still wouldn't be able to afford rent in an apartment like this. Life has become unlivable for the vast majority of the proletariat. The 99% of people are seeing their lives completely destroyed by the lack of financial resources that are available to them. And this is reflected in the global view of America. People are looking at this country and wondering, why are they doing this to Americans? And my simple answer to that is because they can. America's always hated poor people. Talking point number 3. This is the part that stings. Because for a long time, America wasn't just a place, it was a symbol. The movies, the music, the Instagram shots from Times Square. But in 2025, America's brand is in the toilet. The dream has been replaced with anxiety, uncertainty, TSA agents who think they're in a Tom Clancy novel. Nobody romanticizing Ellis Island when you're getting fingerprinted for having a French accent, or even worse, getting probed for having a French accent in a movie theater, in an airport terminal. I don't know why I said movie theater. I guess I just woke up a few minutes ago. And eating rice for breakfast isn't exactly living the dream, right? You wake up in the morning and all you have to eat is microwave rice, and you're just like, oh, wow, this is really happening, right? This is all I have to eat today. And you scratch your head and you're like, didn't I just work 40 hours? And again, you scratch yourself further down south and you ask yourself that same question. Didn't I just spend 40 hours at Evil Corp so that I could have rice to eat for my day meal at home? This is just terrible. And this is the way most Americans are living. I was with Mello the other day, and we were talking as we were walking into a Walmart, and she said, how are so many of these 99-cent stores going out of business? Because a lot of people depend on 99-cent stores, especially if you're on food stamps, to buy your food. People who are on food stamps on very limited budgets, that's where they go to buy their food. I mean, I was walking through a 99-cent store over on Guadalupe and McClintock one time, and right behind me came in this, I'd say, beautiful college student, probably, I'm going to say 20 years old. And she grabbed a basket and she filled up her basket with ramen, Slim Jims, and water. And then I saw her because I had to go to the other side of the shopping center to get a haircut. So the 99-cent store's on the east side, and the whatchamacallit, and the haircut place is on the west side of the complex. And I was sitting there in the chair, and I watched her walk by me, eating her Slim Jim and drinking water, and I was like, "Oh my God!" She just spent $10 at the 99-cent store buying her food for the week, and I thought, that's a person who's really, really poor. That's America. That's the America that we've allowed to exist. By doing nothing, we've allowed this version of our world to exist because we all knew what was going to happen in January, and most of us it was a train wreck that we had to watch in real time. And believe me, things are going to get worse for us, much worse as time progresses, if we don't do anything about it. All right, let's close up this video with the closing monologue. So let's be real. This isn't just about tourism. It's about identity. When people stop visiting, they're not just skipping landmarks. They're telling you, we don't like what you've become. America still has the tech, the culture, the power. But people don't want to walk into a country that feels like a checkpoint. They want connection, dignity, and some damn peace. And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You can't fix that with an ad campaign. You fix it by giving a damn, by treating every traveler like a person, not a problem. Because once that welcome fades, it's not just flights we're losing, it's the story we used to tell about ourselves. And if that story's dead, who's coming back? No one's coming to save us, people. Jesus isn't going to come back because we need him to save us from this government, from these politicians, from the world that we've created. Jesus isn't coming back to save your job from an AI taking it from you because AI is cheaper. No one's coming to save us. We're going to have to learn to live in a world that hates us for being poor. And it's an unfortunate way of having to think about things, but there's nothing we can do about this. The world has changed in a way that none of us like. Well, at least none of us poor people like. The proletariat will either have to adapt to this world or find yourself living in your car, or even worse, living on the street. Again, I've been there for years. Living on the street is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to face. And most of us are on a straight line to becoming homeless.